Morning, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 93. 1 Samuel chapter 25 through chapter 27. So it's 25, 26, and 27. Starts off letting us know that Samuel has died. Samuel is the last king of Israel. Last judge of Israel. He is the man of God who anointed the first two kings of Israel. We know that Samuel was a hard worker for God. He was a true man of God. He did not play when it came to obeying God and doing his will. Love that. Absolutely love Samuel. So now, further along, we see that David is in the wilderness in this area called Moan. And near that, where he is, Nabal, a wealthy man. He's a very wealthy man. He had 3,000 sheep. He had 100, goats. And David was near him. So during the time he heard that Nabal was shearing his sheep, he sends a few of his men to Nabal, ask him could he show a brother some love, and give him, supply them with some food. He said, I was in the wilderness and none of your sheep escaped, none of your goat escaped. And no, Nabal didn't ask him to do this. This is just a kindness that he showed to Nabal. And this man, any of them, did any harm to Nabal's sheep or steal anything. They could have, though. It's been known that people do stuff like that. There's so much you're not going to miss one. Or they bully and take. That's not what David and his men did. Nabal says, excuse me, I didn't ask you to do all that. Who is this David? David ain't nobody. I'm not giving him anything. I don't owe him. That type of attitude. He was very rude and he was nasty. He was known for being rude and nasty on top of that mean. David's men returned to him. Oh, David is not happy about that. You guys know how we are when people just totally disrespect us like that. Really, David was more concerned about his men than anything. All right, so anyway, David's upset. Oh, David said, I'm going to go in there and kill him and all his men in his little town. I'm going to kill them all. I'm not going to leave not one person standing or a man standing. Person or man, either way, David was going on a killing rampage. He was upset. So one of Nabal's servants heard that, and they run to Abigail. And Abigail is Nabal's wife. Abigail, your husband completely lost his mind. David and his men. David, David. They've been out there in the wilderness. The entire time they were there, we didn't lose any sheep. We didn't lose any goats. No one came upon us and raided us. They were like a wall of protection. Oh my gosh, they were the best. Your husband, they come in and ask him for some food, right? He told it, basically spit in David's face. David's going to come in and kill us all. He's going to kill us all. Abigail. Love, love, love. Abigail. She only had the shortest time in the Bible, but it shows so much. Abigail takes responsibility. She runs, gather this food, this wine, intercedes David. David, she greets him, and she says, my husband, Nabal, is a fool. Okay? Totally ignoring him. He is not worth your time. You, however, David, is a man of God. I love what she says. She reminds David of who he is. You have been doing God's work all your life. And when you get in position, you don't want this right here to cripple you, your conscience. You don't want this to be hanging over your head. I love the fact that Abigail did not support her husband's cruelty. I love that she took the initiative. Your husband wrong. One thing my husband doesn't like about me, probably mostly, is that people always say, is that true, Kamera? Because when he says something, that's true, Kamera, everybody know I would not stand with him when he's wrong. So they always ask me for confirmation. So yeah, Abigail, she gives David his food. She intercedes, and she reminds David of who he is. And I always think about that. We hear about David, But when someone like Abigail reminds us of who David, not only she reminds us of who David is, but she let us know that David had a good reputation. That was a witness to David's reputation. So, and she told him, she said, you don't want this hanging up here. He is not worth it. And I love the fact that David didn't have that pride where he was like, get out of my face, woman. He was humble enough to receive that from her. And guess what he says to her? He says, thank you very much for stopping me. And thank you for showing a brother some love. And reminding me of who I am, basically. David could have had all kind of attitude to say, I'm not hearing that. I'm going to take all this and then some and kill all your men. David said, well, I was going to kill everybody here. No, I can leave one man standing. He had to say that. He said, because you're a sensible woman, though, I'm going to spare you guys. I absolutely love that part. I love it. I love the way David was humble. I love the way Abigail stood for righteousness and did the right thing regardless of her husband. A lot of people might say she was sneaky. No, she was not sneaky. Because guess what? After she told David what gave David that stuff, and David left, she went back. Her husband was partying. Partying like a king, the word says. So she didn't want to, he was drunk, and also she didn't want to discuss what she had done. I love the fact that she's bold enough to tell him the next day when he was sober. You don't have to be sneaky with your husband. You can tell him the truth. There's a time to talk to your husband. You don't have to fear your husband. There's a time God will give you wisdom to talk to your husband. And clearly he gave her the wisdom on when to talk to her husband. She told her husband what she had done. Gotta love that strong Abigail. She wasn't sneaky. She was a strong woman. And she believed in doing the right thing. I absolutely love it. Nabal shows how wicked he is. Guess what happens to Nabal? Yep, boy had a stroke. 10 days later, he died. David hears about it, and David is praising God for taking care of the situation, for avenging him. Yeah, God, though we hate to let a person slide when they've done us wrong, if we could just bridle our tongue, bridle our actions, and still allow God to avenge us, he will. He will avenge us, guys. And this was like, 10 days after. And this is the thing. We wish God to strike right then and there. He doesn't always do that, but he does avenge us, guys. He does. Just got to be patient and trust him to take care of our enemies. And so, yeah, that's where we are. So, after that, David goes and he marries Abigail. Abigail says, Abigail's also beautiful, guys. But she had a great character. She listened to her servant, and then she humbly went and took care of David. This is the thing. He sends his man to go get Abigail. He's going to marry Abigail, right? Abigail said, I don't need to marry David. I would marry him. That's an honor. But I'll be okay even being his servant. Isn't that something? She had heard. The only thing she knew about David was that he had a great reputation of being a true man of God who did all of God's beckoning. And when you think about it, God also showed him that he's a humble, kind man just through their little interception in the beginning. There's a lot to that, guys. Absolutely love that. So, fast forward. Oh, my gosh. Fast forward. David is in the land of Ziph. What gets me, it kind of sound like the other story when he was in Ziph. Saul got his 3,000 men, and he went searching for David. It kind of sounds like almost exactly like that. So, David hears about this, that Saul is after him again. And someone tells him where Saul was located. Saul was actually asleep. David crept on him. And he found that Saul was asleep, but he was encircled by his men. So he had Saul's commander and other of his warriors were in a circle, sleep. Saul was in that circle, sleep. So that was their protection. His men were his protection as the king of Israel slept. Now, as he slept, his men were asleep. The Bible says that God put him in a deep sleep, but still, God still allowed David to find that situation. And so, who's that? Abishai, one of the warriors with David, had said, God has allowed your enemy to be at your feet now. Hey, let's go ahead and take care of the situation and kill him and all his men. David said, no, I'm not going to be the one that kill him. He's God's anointed. It's not God's will that I kill him. Saul will probably die of old age or in battle, but we're not going to be the ones that kill him. Oh my God, I absolutely love David's respect for God. So, what does David do? Why are you there, David? David says, okay, grab his jug. Saul's water jug. Grab Saul's spear. So he takes up those items and he goes a long way off or out, and he calls Saul. I think he called Abner first. Abner's the commander of the troops, and he basically let Abner and Saul know that he was there in their camp. He has the king's spear and he has the king's water jug to let them know how close he was. And again, he says, I have no idea why you're running after me. I could have killed you then, Saul. But I'm not going to do that. It's not God's will. You are God's anointed, and I will not be the one who kills you. And he says, I have no idea. You have me running away from I'm far away from God, basically, I guess, the tabernacle. But anyway, you're going to have me living amongst pagans. And, David just saying all kind of stuff. But he's like, I have no idea why you're treating me this way. And so he says, send one of your men to take your spear and jug. So he gives the spear and jug. Saul says, you are a great man, that type of thing. And they separate. David decides, you know what? Saul is never going to stop running after me. He's never going to stop chasing me. He's not going to stop haunting me, trying to kill me. And even in certain places he go, they're like Ziph, the men of Ziph, they tattletale, betray David. They had David with them. As long as they had David with them, they were protected against all kind of harm, but they didn't see that. They feared Saul more. Clearly, they didn't believe that David was a man of God. They feared Saul more. I don't know. I'm not going to judge him, but it is what it is. All right. So David says, Saul's never going to stop chasing me. So he goes to Philistine country to hide out. That's so serious. What get me about this story is the king, Achish. In Philistine country. He's like so, receptive of David. Why are you so receptive of David? I'm like, how did David get favor with this king, right? He's so happy David is there. He's in Philistine territory. So David knows Saul's not going to chase him. In fact, the word says that when Saul heard that David was in the land of the Philistines, he stopped chasing him. So we thank God for wisdom in that area. We thank God for giving David favor with one of the kings in Philistine territory. So funny. But anyway, Achish is so happy. King Achish is so happy that David is there. He gives David his own town. David and his 600 men and their families, their own town. What's Ziklag? I think it is. Anyway, this is the thing I absolutely love, though. While David was there in the enemy territory, he still did God's will. He would go and raid these towns, and he would take their possessions, whatever plunder he found, but he would kill everyone in those lands. Achish would ask him, what did you do today? He would say, oh, I fought, I went to this land south of Jordan. I mean, not Jordan, but Judah and all this. So Ziklag is, not Ziklag, but Achish is very happy. Oh, okay, great. That means that the Israelites really going to hate David. They're really going to hate him. So he's thinking, so that way David can stay with me. I guess he felt like if his David is there, he's all good. David clearly had a good attitude, good personality. And this man know that David was a man of war and he didn't play. And that he was a man of God, clearly. But he was happy to have David amongst him. Happy that David is making himself an enemy with Israel. But that wasn't what he was doing. God allowed David to destroy those enemies, those pagan worshipers, those people who were not, doing those things that detested God. That's what David was doing. He was working for God. And so that's where he was. Saul didn't chase him because Saul wasn't going to Philistine country. So there we have it. So much, right? There's so much. Guys, you got to read this. You got to read this. That was 1 Samuel chapter 25 through chapter 27. And that is day number 93. You guys have a God-filled blessed day.